Hey guys, and welcome to Ask Mark, the show where you ask Mark questions. Woo!
We're unimaginative with our names.
Yeah.
Scuba divers, we're kind of useless at naming stuff. It's just
Hey, it's the best way to be. It's the best way to be. Anyway, I noticed that you're back on set.
I am indeed.
Yeah, you're all good. So everything's fine and dandy, as well as it could be.
Yeah, that's it. Getting into the Christmas spirit already. It's coming up to that season. I know.
love it.
Haven't got any decorations up or anything yet, but mate, after I dig them out of the attic, I'll put something down here.
Exciting! I can't wait to see that. If it's there for the next week, then yes. If it's after that, I can't wait to watch the video of your Christmas decorations on the channel.
Of course, because you're going to continue to watch all of my videos after you leave.
Yeah, you're going to get more dislikes, mate. I would never do that. Like I said in the podcast.
Can you still dislike on YouTube?
At the moment, you can, but
you can dislike, but they're removing.
I think they're removing the They are removing the dislike. In all honesty, guys and girls, I'm about to blow your mind. The like and the dislike button literally does nothing. Now, aesthetically, it does something, but actually, in terms of what it does to your video, absolutely nothing.
If anything, it's beneficial because even a negative dislike still goes into the algorithm and boosts your video. So disliking a video is actually boosting it in a sense.
I've got sad news. That doesn't happen.
Oh, does it not?
No.
That was the way.
Literally, you can hit a dislike button, you can hit the like button, and it has no ramifications to your video. Nothing.
On the algorithm.
It doesn't do anything. No, it doesn't do anything.
I thought it was...
Back in the day it used to, but then basically what happened is so many people dislike bombed. So you'd get like a new trailer for something and it's like, oh no, I like Ben Affleck. Dislike. So YouTube actually switched off the algorithm. So it's actually a way of... But in all honesty, the greatest thing about the dislike and the like and the dislike button is if a video is clickbait or scammy, because then it tends to have more majority dislikes, even though it doesn't interfere with the video itself. You can click on it and go, let me look at the dislikes. Oh, there's 500 million dislikes to 3 likes. This video's
navigate away.
Hence, also why they're gonna get rid of it, because it doesn't really alter anything. But there is a way that you can do it, which is funny, which does affect the algorithm. Which is you just type in the comments dislike. Which is a comment which affects the algorithm. So the more comments and the more chat you have on your videos, the more it gets pushed in front of Google. Because Google, people are having a conversation in this channel on this video. Let's promote it more. That's also why, guys, I have a new job, which is all to do with that sort of thing. But maybe we'll probably talk about that later. We won't talk about it on Ask Mark. But deco stop. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, deco stop.
Diving.
Huh? Yeah, scuba diving. Questions. So question number 1 is from Gotham, but Mark, it's not any Gotham. Okay. It's the OG. It's the original Gotham. He is the OG Gotham, the Gotham OG Gotham. They say, I've just got my advanced open water, awesome, and a lot deeper Rex and tools require a bail/bail out bottle. He spelt it twice. He doesn't know. They don't know how to.
Different ways.
It's fine. Out. Doesn't matter. Matter. Anyway, so I upgraded my regulators and I wanted to see if I need an octo when I have a second tank with its own regulator. Also, can I use my old regulator and then put in brackets not cold water rated or sealed as my backup reg on my bail out bottle? Also, can't spell bail/bail out. So seen, Schworn, Sean. Can we still be friends? Of course, man. It doesn't matter. I can barely speak English, and that's meant to be my first language. So just because you can't say or spell bail, I'm not gonna. It's fine. Or spell my name 3 different times. Doesn't matter, mate. It doesn't. Anyway, help him out, Mark. Help him out.
So bailout tanks. Do you need an octo with it? No. You can sort of fit an extra one if you really wanted to, but for most divers you tend to have a single first stage and a single second stage on your bailout, and then your octo, as it were, on either your back gas. That way you have plenty of redundancy. Chances are, if you're in an out of air scenario with your buddy on this kind of dive trip, you'll both have that sort of bailout tank, so you both have extra redundancy. So no, you don't need an octo. You can fit one if you really wanted to, but I don't. Can you use your old regulator? Of course you can. It's not cold water rated or sealed. No, I'd look more for the balancing, see if it's balanced. If it's balanced regulator, depending on the manufacturers, because some of them rate what they say is balanced in slightly different terms, but balancing usually means that as you go down deeper, it adjusts the amount of gas that it can deliver, basically. You can get overbalanced, so the deeper down you go, it can actually deliver even more gas. If it's unbalanced, it basically gets harder and harder to breathe from when you get down to really deep depths. For shallow depths, perfectly fine, but deep down you'll still be able to get gas, but it'll be a little bit harder to breathe from. As far as sort of environmental sealing, I wouldn't worry too much about that unless you're going somewhere particularly cold, and cold water rated. Yeah, if it's getting down below sort of 10 degrees, then yeah, I'd kind of want something that's cold water rated. So to check to see what your first stage is, whether it's balanced, and if it is balanced, fine. If the water temperature is going to be above 10 degrees Celsius, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But yeah, that might be quite a nice sort of like bailout regulator, something fairly small, something compact, nothing overly fancy. Hopefully your dive plan sort of is that you're never actually going to use it, but yeah, if you need it when you're doing your shallower sort of stops, then it's there and it's got everything that you need. But you shouldn't really need an octo on it, because you're only going to need a single second stage.
Cool. Excellent. There we go. Nice. Yeah. And you can environmentally seal it yourself just by sticking some super glue in there. Swiftly.
Please don't. Please don't. You want something flexible.
Blue tack.
But
do not. I mean,
the my Poseidon. It's got this little cap on it. Okay. That is the cold water environmental sealing cap. And what divers would do is they'd fill that like with vodka, and then sort of pop it on and then cable tie it, because vodka doesn't freeze, so that would create that environmental seal, but it's still flexible, so it allows for that balancing, the ambient pressure to affect the balancing of the first stage, and then you get a little drink afterwards.
Well, there you go. Stick some vodka in there. If it's if it's not sealed, vodka.
If in doubt, vodka.
Cool, wicked. All right, let's go on to question number 2. It's from channel regular Scuba Crow. They say, I would like to order the Fourth Element Argonaut 2.0 made to measure. Fancy. Nice. Nice. I would like to use it with the Santi BZ 400 Extreme. Also fancy. Okay. I'm tall and skinny, so I was wondering, what if I gain 10 kilograms? Can I still use the same dry suit? Thank you for your reply.
It kind of depends where you're going to gain those 10 kilos. So if you're like sort of planning that you're going to do some bodybuilding or something, and you are going to sort of increase in size, then I probably wouldn't go down the made to measure. There will be wiggle room. Basically, when you go made to measure, with Fourth Element, there's a few different ways. They actually have a 3D scan, which is kind of cool. I did it at one of the dive shows once. You basically put on a J2 base layer. You stand on a sort of electric.
You did it naked, Mark. You got kicked out of that. You didn't put a base layer on.
You kind of stand there and it kind of spins you around, and it sits you in front of, I think it's like a Xbox Connect or whatever it is, and it scans it scans your body and it basically tells you your all of your measurements, and then it says you will fit into a large or whatever. You can also do it by standing on a special mat that your fourth element dealer can have access to, and then as long as you're standing on it and you're in front of something with a vertical line like a door frame, they take a photo of you just doing like a T-pose, and then fourth element computers can like work out your size. Clever science stuff. Or you can literally sort of send them your measurements, which is how I did it sort of back in the day. But if you do end up, there is going to be some space to allow for movements. But if you're gaining 10 kilos, then yeah, it's going to get quite snug wherever you are gaining that weight. So I'd almost sort of wait until you know you're going to be a stable size, because there's actually a declaration at the bottom of any made-to-measure form, which is I basically can't send this back because it's going to be a custom item. There are no returns. It's basically, yes, these are my measurements. Make this suit, and then it is mine. That's it. There's no returns policy or anything because it's a custom item. So I try and avoid gaining sort of weight, but it's a good setup. I have the Argonaut. I think it's the Argonaut 1 though.
Loser.
And I know, behind the times.
You call yourself a scuba diver and a scuba diving influencer, Mark. Ugh.
And I dive the BZ400X. I'm not tall and skinny, unfortunately. I wish I was. I
was going to make a comment, but I was a good boy.
It's been a hard autumn.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. No, if you're going made to measure, I'd avoid any kind of size changes, or sort of allow for it ahead of time. But fourth element are quite good. You have that sort of conversation with them beforehand, and yeah, they'll go over any like usual things. So they're like, oh, would you like sort of, because I had a ring system fitted, they were like, oh, would you like sort of an extra inch or two sort of taken off so it's not sort of bumping up against your wrist, all those kind of things. So so that they're not just gonna, as soon as they receive it, they just stitch it together. They take a moment, they look at all the measurements and go, yeah, this is a sensible size. But one thing that's quite nice about the Argonaut that just popped into my head is that it's front entry, so it's telescopic body. So if you're quite tall and slim, it does have that kind of adjustability for tall people. Makes life a little bit easier squeezing into it. But cool. Yeah, I'd avoid putting on weight if you can, whether it's muscle or the other thing.
Muscle, I'm pure muscle, mate. I wouldn't. No,
you never know.
I went from a 6-pack to a keg. That's how I like to say. I went straight from a 6-pack to a keg, mate. Anyway, cool, man. Interesting. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. Guys and girls, have you got a custom suit? Have you ever had maybe it's an Argonaut? Let us know your process, how you found it, and if there's any tips, for Scuba Crow that Mark didn't mention. Yeah, let us know in the comments below, please. So the next question is from, I'm just going to say, Ali. Hey, Ali. They say...
Alejandro Aguilar.
Yeah, Ali. I recently found myself needing to replace the webbing for my backplate and wing, but the webbing I found is not as stiff as the original one. Is this a problem? I know it might not be as durable, but it's what I've got. Thanks. Cheers.
It's mainly... webbing harness typically has 3 different stiffnesses. We get the really stiff stuff that we use for sort of shoulder straps and the waistband. You get a really soft one for the crotch strap because, you know, and sometimes you can get like a middle grounds. And it sounds like you could only get hold of the middle grounds. The only reason we tend to go for sort of stiffer webbing is just to make our lives a little bit easier when you're kitting up and de-kitting, because the shoulder straps kind of stay where they are. With the really soft stuff, it just kind of limps down. So trying to like sort of find that strap and get into it is a little bit tricky, and it twists over and is just a bit of a pain. So we tend to prefer the stiffer stuff for the shoulder straps, especially. Makes your life a little bit easier, and the D-rings tend to stay exactly where they are. If you get the soft stuff, sometimes even with a tri-glider, if you really do, and it's kind of like on a bit of a curve, they can actually slide a little bit. That's why you tend to get those toothed tri-gliders, because they really grip into a position. But on stiff stuff, doesn't go anywhere. Is it an issue? Not particularly. It's mainly in kitting up. You might find that it doesn't hold itself open as much, but otherwise, yeah, it's still pretty durable. It's not going to sort of wear out, depending on whether you've got an adjustable section. But for a single piece harness, yeah, it's not so much of an issue. The main thing is, yeah, getting kitted up, and D-rings. It's unusual, but they can slide a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, crotch straps are always the soft stuff.
Okay, good to know that. For future reference. Cool story. I don't really know where to go from crotch strap, so let's just go to number 4. It's from Lumberjacks Production. They say, what do you think about the Cressi Big Eyes Evolution?
It's a decent mask.
Thank you very much. Question number 5.
There you go. Next. Yeah, it's a very traditional, like straight down the middle kind of dive mask. It's a twin teardrop lens frame design. Very nice clear skirt. Cressi, you've got some very nice crystal clear skirt, and the Cressi Air is very similar to the Big Eyes Evolution, and it has that real crystal clear. They even call it the crystal air or air crystal. Yeah, it is. It's a very traditional mask. Nothing overly fancy. It'll definitely do the job, and it comes in some pretty cool colours, which is quite nice. Quite subtle colours as well. It's not too sort of out there. But yeah, it's a decent mask. Tempered glass, silicone. It ticks all the boxes that you need. So if you just want a pretty standard traditional mask, Big Eye Evolution, yeah, perfectly fine. I'd be happy diving with one.
Excellent. Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Lovely. Do you guys and girls dive with one? Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments, please. Next question is from Carl Knickerblocker. Awesome. He says, hello, Mark and Sean. Hello there. Sorry, I went into my Dougie voice. Hello, Dougie. Anyway, swiftly moving on. Yep. That's going to get us a copyright strike. If I get a bad airfill and realise it before I get into the water, do I need to have my hoses replaced or cleaned in some way? Yes, what you do is you flush out the water, or the bad air, sorry. You fill your cylinder up with Dr. Pepper, and then you just purge that through, and then you're as good as gold, mate. That taste will go, and you'll get Dr. Pepper. It only works with Dr. Pepper because of the fruity textures you get in that drink. So swiftly moving on. I've already answered that question. I'm joking.
So a bad airfill, it kind of depends. The best thing that you can do is put your regs on a clean cylinder and kind of flush it out. I mean, there's not going to be too much, even in your hoses. If you sort of flush it through with fresh, clean air, it's you shouldn't have any kind of residue or anything. You can get regulators cleaned. I think you can actually clean your own hoses. Some divers, and it is quite a hotly debated topic, they'll clean their hoses for oxygen, because any kind of debris or something can sort of create ignition points and stuff. But yeah, if you kind of taste your air, it's kind of oily or something, then yeah, I'd kind of take it off, put it on a fresh cylinder, flush it through as much as possible. You shouldn't have to, it all depends. It depends if there's not going to be, or there shouldn't be moisture or residue or anything sort of getting into your hoses, because the on the insides of won't be able to show you without tools. There's a little filter on the sort of entry points of your first stage. That takes a lot of the main sort of particles and things. So the only stuff that's getting into your hoses and into the working parts of your first stage is very sort of minimal, microscopic sort of things. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, but just kind of flush it out. You can take it to your local dealer, your local dive center, and they can like service the regulators if you think you've had like really bad hit. But I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's quite a minimal risk, but it depends. If the compressor has had like a catastrophic fail and there's all the nasty gunk and stuff has been sort of pumped into your tank, then a lot of that tends to sort of end up on the bottom of the cylinder. You actually have a snorkel on the inside at the bottom of the valve, which is basically there to help prevent these contaminants from actually getting up into the valve and then into your regulator. So there's a lot of things helping you out, preventing this stuff from getting into the working part, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But what I do is I just hook it up to a fresh cylinder, flush it, just sort of give it a purge a few times, and that should get rid of most of it.
Excellent, cool. Do my one. My one's much better. It's more fun.
Just a dab of whiskey on the inside, so you get that taste.
Why not? Well, no, it'd be vodka. I was about to say to you, so I get adverts on YouTube for this thing called Air Up. Now it's a water bottle, but it has a ring around it, so when you breathe in, you taste the flavour.
I've seen those.
Why don't they build that within the regulator or something? So then when you,
I imagine someone's
taste.
Working on it. Yeah, like a gin and tonic mouthpiece.
Yeah, that's how you can kill people. You do a bad air fill, and then they've got this filter. It tastes like chocolate. Cyanide.
I imagine someone is gonna have that sort of epiphany and stitch those two ideas together one day.
You heard it here first. On here on Ask Mark, it was our idea. From the guys flavored over at Area.
I think I've mentioned it years ago.
You didn't. First breaking news. There we go. Swiftly moving on. Question number 6 is from Luke. He left this question on the Apex WTX harness. He says, can you mount a single tack directly onto the harness, or do you need a backplate?
Yeah, you can. So the WTX harness is basically you get a soft, flexible backplate as such. You get padding on it as well. You have like a stitched-in harness, fully adjustable, and all sorts of attachment points and things. There's a section in the center where you can slide a backplate into the center. And then, of course, all the sort of holes and grommets, they all line up so you can bolt something onto it. You don't need a backplate, but it will be quite soft to move around, which isn't really the end of the world. There are plenty of recreational BCDs that don't have a rigid backplate. So yeah, you can, if you want to. They have 2-inch webbing vertical straps, it would have to be, and you can thread, I think it's a single cam band. I don't think you can thread 2 parallel cam bands, but yeah, you certainly can, and yeah, you don't need a backplate, but it will be better with a backplate. It gives a more sort of solid foundation against your back, and it adds to your trim weight as well, so you don't have to have quite as much lead on your weight belt if you use a stainless steel backplate. But yeah, you don't need one. It just helps with stability, basically, so your cylinder doesn't sort of roll around as you move in the water.
Cool. Do we sell those backplates? Do we have them in stock?
Yeah, we sell the WTX harness, and yeah, most backplates should work.
There we go. Then
doesn't have to be overly fancy.
Wicked. They're all available at SimplyScuba.com, your one-stop shop when it comes to scuba diving equipment.
We sell a few bits and bobs.
We do, and we're getting more and more in. Woohoo!
Aren't we just? Yeah.
Woo! Yeah. And I don't have to be there to film or edit them.
I know. I have to film them all now.
Anyway, normally that's the end of the show. But guess what, guys? We've got a bonus question. Bonus question. It's from Jin Hantan. And Jin says, Mark, is the Zen backplate compatible with the standard non-XD backplates?
So the Zen is a little bit different. It's like the Ghost.
Jen didn't want to hear that. She wanted to say, yes, of course it is. It's simple, it's easy, don't worry about it.
No, X-Deep are very good at like sort of twisting traditional concepts and making them a little bit better. And the Zen is, it's similar but different enough that it makes things a little bit complicated, unfortunately. So the harness is quite clever. It starts off at the shoulder, which is quite normal, but then it threads down to the very bottom of the Zen backplate, and then it comes back up a couple inches. Normally, and then it becomes the waistband. Normally, the shoulder straps just become the waistband, sort of in the same line, but this has a few benefits. The first one is that your shoulder straps are that much longer. I think it's about 30% longer, which gives you more space to get in. But then when you put the waistband up higher, it actually overlaps with those shoulder straps. So when you do your waistband up, it kind of tightens your shoulder straps in as well, which is quite nice. So that's what makes it quite unique. The next one is the kind of the location of the holes in the central spine. That's what you need to be careful with. If you're depending on the wing that you're thinking of putting onto the backplate, that's where compatibility issues can occur. A lot of modern wings are good in that they have holes at the top for mounting. I mean, this is if you're sort of mounting twin sets. They'll have holes at the top for mounting your top twinning band, and then lower slot. Because traditionally they were always exactly 11 inches apart, these two holes. And if it wasn't exactly 11 inches apart, it got complicated. So the lower section, instead of having a hole, you now have a long slot. That just makes your life a little bit easier. Does the Zen actually have vertical slots for single cylinder bands? Not by the looks of it. So that's where it's going to be tricky. If you're looking to dive it with a single cylinder, you have to have a single tank adapter. XD do make a single tank adapter, so that's kind of what you'd have to do. With most sort of backplates, you have vertical slots either side of the spine. So you thread your cam band through the back plate and then around your cylinder, and that's how it bolts onto it. With the Zen, it doesn't have those vertical slots. You have to get a single tank adapter and then bolt that onto your back plate, and that's what the cam band's attached to. So it's not as universal as most traditional back plates. It's a non-standard, but what it does well, it does really well. So yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, it's not universal. So there are a few caveats to it.
Disappointed to hear all of that, Mark.
I know. Yeah.
How dare you? It's all your fault as well.
It's a lovely backplate, but yeah, you just have to make sure that if you're diving on singles, use the single tank adapter. If you're diving on twins, you have to make sure that those grommets line up with your wing.
Do we have the adapter on our website?
Probably. It always
if we
was.
do, buy it at SimplyScuba.com. If we don't have it, just wait. Don't buy it anywhere else. Just wait till we have it in stock. Then purchase it from us, please. Thank you so much.
With X-Deep, it's usually safer to stick with X-Deep instead of mixing and matching brands. With other brands like Mars XR and Apex, I mean, I have a lightweight travel wing, which is a mixture of Apex and Mars XR. It can be done, but no, sorry. Yeah, Apex and Mars XR, they've got so many X's in. But when it gets to X-Deep, it's usually best to just stick to X deep. Yeah. Otherwise, you can have compatibility issues.
I guess the way that I would say it is if you're going to get X deep, think of them as a specialist brand rather than not necessarily cut and paste, but yeah, like you said, Mara's and Apex, they're kind of similar, whereas in Apex
they're
always...
quite traditional.
Yeah, traditional, that's the word. Whereas in Apex, I always slightly alter things. So a bolt snap's not just a bolt snap. A backplate isn't just a backplate. You know what I mean? There are slight tweaks to them. So yeah, I would think of them as a specialist over Apex and Mara's. But yeah, well, less traditional. Cool. And that is it. That is Ask Mark number 49 or whatever it is. Done and dusted about that. And that's it, guys. Yeah, bye.
If you have any comments, questions, queries about anything to do with scuba diving, let us know down in the comments below. If you want to comment anything, try and use the hashtag AskMark. If you want sort of myself or Sean, you've only got like one more chance to.
I was going to say
put on anything.
I'm going to put something out right now. If we get the hashtag Ask Sean, if we get at least 6 questions using the hashtag Ask Sean, why don't we do, as well as obviously Ask Mark, because that's way more important, but why don't we do a bonus episode? So you get an Ask Mark.
Like 50th bonanza.
And then, then you got an Ask Sean, and then that'll be it. But it's all down to you guys. If I get 6 questions...
Sean is spelt Shaun.
Yes. I'll put a thing on there. Ask Sean. Ask Sean. It's come up on your screen right now. If I get 6 Ask Sean questions, we'll put that in the show. But again, we'll still film Ask Mark as well. Why am I giving myself way more work? What am I doing?
I know.
I'm meant to be winding down, but no. I'm winding up instead.
But yeah, use one of those or both of those hashtags in your comments, and we'll find it. There'll be links to all of these products that we've sort of mentioned on the show down in the description below, as well as a link to our website, SimplyScuba.com, where you can check out all sorts of the latest and greatest scuba diving equipment. And that's it. We're coming up to the end of Ask Mark and Sean.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the way how you said that very, very carefully. The end of Ask Mark and Sean.
Our Ask Mark should continue, but it will just be myself, unfortunately, so there'll be less banter. I might be able to get a second. It just depends on who we replace Sean with, or whether we just get some kind of...
like in The Simpsons.
To replace him.
No. You know, in The Simpsons, where Homer has that tipping... There you go. That's my replacement right there, guys.
Anyway, that's it. Any questions, comments, queries to do with scuba diving, let us know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.
Stay classy, scuba divers.